In my last video, I said that the Nyquist-Shannon sampling theorem was taught in a bit of an oversimplified way on your average audio engineering degree at university. I'm just trying to make the point that what is taught at universities on audio engineering degrees today is completely oversimplified and not what was stated by Shannon's original paper. And then I got a bunch of people turn up in the comments saying that I was wrong because when they learnt the theorem at university, they were taught very well when they were studying digital signal processing for their PhD at Harvard. Now that sounds like I'm exaggerating, but again, for some weird reason, my video jumped outside of the comfort of the audio engineering bubble on YouTube and landed up in the feeds of Ivy League University STEM postgrads. But with all of this talk about universities and what you do and what you don't learn at university, I thought it would be a good opportunity to make a video on just that. My experience from my point of view as a student and someone who's also lectured at university, whether it's worth doing an audio engineering degree in 2025 from my personal point of view. So first off, it goes without saying that if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something which is a protected profession, you need to go to university because these are gate-kept industries and the universities hold the keys to those industries, and there's no way around that. The audio world is different because the universities don't gatekeep them. They are gatekept, but not by the universities. So if you're going and doing an audio engineering degree, what do you want to do? You want to be a mix engineer, a recording engineer, a mastering engineer, a front of house engineer. You want to work with game audio or film or anything related in these kinds of industries. Well, none of those jobs require a degree. In fact, not only do these jobs not require a degree is for the most part completely irrelevant to all of those jobs. And when I had my studio listed on Google Maps, every year after the students graduated from universities, there'd sort of be a wave of CVs being sent out to all of the local studios, and I was included in that. So I'd get a bunch of CVs of people just graduated from this institute or that university. They're like, oh, I've got a first or I got a 2-1. Can you give me a job at your studio? And I'd never be interested in the slightest in any of these people who were sending me their CVs because I just don't care whether you've got a degree or not. What I care about is, can you talk to clients in a professional way and not get angry under pressure? Or when you're insulted, can you not get angry? Can you keep calm and can you keep professional? Can you perform at a higher level doing the actual job? Do you have a lot of experience doing it? Have you got a proven track record of doing high quality results? Who have you worked with? Where is your experience? And if you have zero experience, then go away, do an unpaid internship, build up experience like I did, like everyone in the industry who has a reputation, who's been a T-boy. I've been a T-boy. We've all been T-boys and worked our way up. You don't send a CV off, here's my degree, give me a job. No, I'm not going to give you any money. Why am I going to give you any money? You're probably just going to scare all my customers off and make my business implode. Why am I going to give you the keys to my studio? Who are you? I don't trust you. I don't know you. So that's my perspective of someone who receives CVs from people who have just graduated. What is my perspective of someone who was a student? I was a student myself in 2005. So 20 years ago now, I studied audio engineering at university. What was my experience as a student? So for me personally, I felt university was a bit of a mixed bag. So there were a couple of standout lecturers who I thought were absolutely incredible, who had very good industry experience. And I would often go up to them at the end of the lecture and ask them a few questions one-on-one after everyone sort of leaving the room to get a bit more of an insight into some topics that I was interested in at the time. But in terms of what was actually taught on the course, a lot of it was just your average basic stuff that most people know without having even gone to university. There's a lot of irrelevant stuff there, a lot of stuff that you don't really care about too much. And the stuff that was sort of very, very important for the industry applicable skills, you could just learn easily in some other way, not having to go to university. So I felt like the actual syllabus itself didn't really teach me all that much valuable information. I didn't receive any training at all about what mastering is, like how to do any mastering at all. I didn't learn anything at all about mastering, and I'm a mastering engineer. That's what I do for my job and have done since university, since I graduated. And so my entire career, I had to just learn everything myself because I wasn't taught any of that at university at all. So by the time I graduated, I'd made some great friends who I'm still friends with today, 20 years later. And some of those friends went off to become recording engineers and mixing engineers. And me as a mastering engineer, we work together. So it's also a financial benefit and social benefit. And so it was a great way to connect yourself with other people who are in a similar field being at university together. So that was really positive. However, by that point, I was in about $30,000 of student loan debt, and my degree turned out to be completely useless at getting me a job. I sent my degree and CV to everyone, said, look, I got a first with honors at this good university, give me a job at your studio, and crickets, no one cared. And the only people who got back to me offered me unpaid internships. So I went to this one studio and did an unpaid internship, but initially I didn't even have travel expenses. So I had to pay my travel expenses to work for free and then pay to get back home. So I had to actually, it was like negative. I was paying to work. And then at some point they started paying my travel expenses, but it was really good because I was getting experience and I got my foot in the door. And then they started paying my travel expenses, and then ultimately then they did offer me a job for actual real money. And then I made my own studio and started my own company. And then the path was very, very slow from being in credit card debt, just all my expenses on my credit card and couldn't pay my rent. And I was just building up slowly over time to the point where I'm at today. But it's been a very long, hard journey, and having a degree played almost zero role in me being able to make where I am today. So what are the alternatives to going to university? Well, of course, unpaid internship. It's the gold standard way of developing industry experience. And then also with the advent of modern technology, the internet, online courses, absolute game changer. Why do you want to pay $30,000 or whatever to a university to learn some stuff? A lot of it's going to be irrelevant. It's just going to be some broad syllabus of stuff that you might not be interested in, rather than a specific, targeted, higher quality online course taught by someone in the industry who actually is successful in the industry. For example, my EQ Enlightenment course. If you want to know about EQ, you want to know how to use EQ, or that course is going to cost way less than a university degree. It's going to cost way less time than a university degree, and the information you get in that is going to be way better than a university degree because it's taught by someone, me, who is actually in the industry, who uses the EQ every day for his job. And so I'm going to teach you everything I know about EQ in one course for a ridiculously low price compared to 30,000 euros for a university degree. Online courses have completely changed the game if you want to get the skills and the knowledge. But in terms of actually experience, nothing comes close to unpaid internships, in my personal opinion. And I mentioned before, although I'm a mastering engineer, I didn't learn anything about mastering at university. And not only that, I didn't learn anything about preparing my music to be mastered at university. So you'd think that you go on this university course, it's going to really give you all of the tools that you need. Well, one of the most essential tools is, if you're making music, how do I get my track sounding good to be sent off to be mastered? Like, isn't that an essential skill? I didn't even get taught at university. So you can do an entire university degree and spend tens of thousands of dollars and not even get that information. Or you can just get that information in a mini course that I've done, which I priced at €2. Like €2 versus 3 years of a university course plus $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Like €2. Like, that's the difference between university versus a targeted online course in the specific thing that you want to learn, and then industry experience, actually doing an unpaid internship. There's no comparison. High quality online courses from working professionals who are actually successful in the industry, plus hands-on practical work experience, beats universities every time, paying all this money, being there for all those years. So that's just all my perception and experience and opinion. Is there anything more objective we can say about universities as a whole? Yes, there is. Most of you guys know me as an audio guy, but I'm also a finance guy. I trade options, and I'm really passionate about economics and finance. It's another one of my interests. And so we can explain this a bit from an objective economics standpoint. Now, although there are many things that motivate consumer decisions in buying things and selecting one thing over another, maybe convenience and branding and reputation and stuff like this, the main forces at play are price and quality. So if you see two insurance contracts and they cover the same kind of stuff for your car, let's say, and one's $1,000 and one's 500. You're going to pick the one for 500 because it's essentially the same, but one's cheaper. So that's the price. And quality, let's say you've got two shops. One sells oranges that have gone all moldy, and the other one has got oranges that look pristine and tasty. And you're going to buy the tasty oranges, despite the fact they might be a bit more expensive, because you care about quality when it comes to eating food, hopefully. And so price and quality play the main motivational roles in what we select in terms of consumer purchases. And this applies to universities, or it used to apply back in the day at least. Back in the day, you would have to apply to a university, firstly, that you could afford, and if you went to the bank to try and get a loan to pay your tuition fees, the bank would be like, well, how are you going to pay this money back? Are you going to be a doctor and you're going to earn a lot of money? Or maybe we're going to give you a loan in that case, but do you have any collateral? Can you put your house up as collateral if you don't pay the loan? A lot of people just got refused loans. Maybe you just didn't bother going to the bank for a loan to go to university. You just work in the summer to pay the tuition fees for university. So the universities were motivated to keep their prices low and their quality higher to attract students in to get the best quality at prices that they could afford. And you only had a few elite places that had really high prices because everyone who had loads of money wanted to go to them so they could have higher prices. But everywhere else was competing on quality and price to get the students to come to their university so they could make money as an educational facility. They're a business at the end of the day. They want to make money. They want to attract students in. So then what happens? The government comes along and they say, wouldn't it be nice if more people could go to university? More people could be university educated, and that might be better for our society. I know what we'll do as the government. We'll guarantee loans because those greedy, stingy banks won't give out enough loans to people to get money to go and study at university. So we'll guarantee the loans. And so what happened to the price of university tuition? Well, the universities are now just like, well, the students have got unlimited money because they can just go to the bank and the bank's like, how much do you want? 100K? Okay, here you go. $100,000. There you go. So now all the students have got all the money they want. So the university is like, okay, windfall. So it just put their tuition fees up. What happens to the quality? Well, as Milton Friedman says, nobody spends other people's money as carefully as he spends his own. And imagine being a student, you're just getting given all of this money. You haven't worked for it. It's not your hard-earned money. It just comes straight from the bank. Yeah, you might have to pay it back at some unspecified point later. But for now, you're just getting given all of this money that you haven't worked for at all. So you're definitely not going to be as careful selecting the educational facility in terms of the price and quality as you would have done before when you actually had to directly pay the fees and work to earn the money to pay the tuition fees directly. So now the universities aren't really competing on price, and sooner or later they start realizing they're not competing on quality really either. So what happens? The quality starts to slide and the prices go as high as they can go. And at some point, the students start to realize university isn't really that great anymore. The quality is declining. And people have been talking about the decline in university degrees since the 60s, since the 70s. People have been joking about underwater basket weaving degrees and all this stuff since like literally the 60s. And it's been going downhill since then. So what happens? Well, now a lot of smart people are thinking, well, maybe I don't really need university. Maybe it's all a bit expensive and takes too long and I could just learn the same thing in an unpaid internship in a couple of weeks and I could get straight into the industry and start earning money quicker without all of this debt and partying for 3-4 years. So if enrollments for some of the courses in the non-protected industries starts to decline a bit at universities, well, they need to make those numbers back up. How do they make those numbers back up? At the end of the day, they're in it to make money. They want to make money. So are they going to cut their tuition fees? Well, the students got all the money they want from the banks. They're not going to do that. Are they going to improve their quality? Or maybe they might improve their quality through marketing or try and do a few things from that. But actually, there's another way that they can increase the amount of students that are coming into their universities. Just make it easier to get into the university and make it easier to pass all of the modules so the university students feel better about themselves and they don't drop out as much, because a lot of people drop out of university because they find it too difficult, and if you drop out you don't pay any more fees, and they want people to pay the fees all the way along up until the 3rd or 4th year, whatever year you're going to study till. So they make it slightly easier, and they make the syllabus slightly easier in the later years as well. And they make everything just slightly easier so more people can come through. And if more people drop off and don't come to university because they think it's a waste of time and money, well, then they just make it even easier and let more people come into the universities. It's a well-studied phenomena, and this is what happened over time in why 100 years ago the quality of education was way better than it is today. And the root cause of all of this is the government stepping in and securing the student loans. If the government doesn't secure the student loans, then yeah, it's more difficult for people to access university, and that might be seen as bad. I'm not making an ethical argument for or against this. I'm just saying the end result of doing that means that the university degrees in 2025 are essentially worthless, and it's a complete waste of time, and you might as well not bother with university. That is the end result. So long story short, if I was 18 years old again today and I was looking whether I wanted to go to university or not, I would not go to university. I would stay at home with my parents, and I would get an unpaid internship. I would even pay the travel expenses to go and work for free to get hands-on experience in the industry, in the specific part of the industry that I was interested in. And I would work my way up from being a tea boy. I would make people tea and coffee to get that experience in the studio or wherever. If it was game, audio technology, or if it was film, I would try and go to those places and get an unpaid T-boy job and work my way up from there. I would also get online courses in specific things that I was interested in learning about, because obviously you don't then have the educational component, so you need that somehow. It's not only industry experience, you learn a lot from industry experience, but not everything. So I would get online courses from people who I trust, who I know who are successful in the industry, who actually work in the industry and make money in the industry. I'd get online courses from them on specific things that I was interested in, hopefully at a reasonable price, which is just peanuts compared to tens of thousands of dollars from university education fees. So that's what I would do if I was rolling back the clock. Do I recommend university in 2025? Only if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, and I don't know anything about that. But if you want to be in the audio industry, I would not recommend it at all. That is my personal opinion, and I hope you've got something out of this video.